Good morning, puzzlers. Welcome back to Puzzle Corner. Today I'm going to make a start on my new jigsaw, which is the London Postcard by Ravensburger, 500 pieces. So I'm going to get the camera angle turned around so you can focus on the puzzle and puzzle along with me. So let's get started on this Ravensburger puzzle. This is the 500 pieces London Postcard. Some of you may know it because it's been part of the Speed Puzzling Championships, but I am going to time it today, and I will time the whole build, not because I'm trying to beat any kind of speed puzzling record, because I appreciate that's not for me, but I'm just interested to know how long it would take to build for just a normal slow build puzzle. So let's get the timer started and let's make haste. Get started with the sorting and see how we get on. Put the sky bits over there and the red bits. I've also got the clock. It's funny how the minute I've started the timer I all of a sudden feel like I've got to go really quickly, but I have to remind myself that's not why I'm doing this. I think these are actually part of Big Ben, so I'll leave them there for now. Yeah, it's a really interesting puzzle. It's got lots of colour, lots of things to focus in on. Obviously for me, I'm looking for the outside edges to get us started. So whilst we settle into sorting all the pieces, I was going to have a little talk today about how things can change in life and how we can choose what path we want to go down. And I was thinking about something that changed for me back in my early 40s, and it was really because of a decision I made, and that's still true for me today. I spent a lot of my 20s, 30s in difficult relationships, and I realised that I was actually living in what's known as the drama triangle. I didn't really know what it was back then, but I have a clearer understanding of it now. That's interesting. That's right in this corner, so we'll keep those just down here. So the drama triangle is a pattern that people can get stuck in. There are 3 roles within that triangle. You either play the rescuer, the victim, or the persecutor. I think most of my time was spent as the rescuer. Trying to always see the good, ignore the bad, and just try and fix everything for everybody. People do tend to move between the roles. But to give you an idea, the rescuer is the one, like I said, who's trying to fix everything. Always helping, always stepping up. Often at the expense of themselves, to be honest. They're kind of last on the pile. Because it's all about making sure everybody else is okay. Oh, I keep seeing things. Look, this is a little green stamp. Don't think I've missed any. Something's going to come in. What are we at now? 5 minutes. Yeah. Then you've got the victim, who spends a lot of their time feeling overwhelmed, unsupported, like everything is happening to them. Not ever really taking perhaps accountability either for their role in what's going on, but just pushing the blame onto everybody else, really. And then you've got the persecutor, and that's the role where somebody spends their time blaming other people, trying to control, always being criticising people, and just, you know, not showing good behaviour traits. What happens is that the cycle just keeps going. All the time you continue playing the role of the rescuer, there will always be somebody there that wants to play the role of the victim that you've got to help, or the role of the persecutor, who's quite happily going to blame you for everything that's going on and not take any accountability. So how that can look, I guess how it looked for me, is staying in a relationship that really wasn't very good for me. There was a lot of drama around that relationship. There was a lot of control, a lot of manipulation. If I look at it now, I can see it wasn't a healthy relationship. But that kind of living in those kinds of roles can create intensity, can create a lot of drama, creates emotional highs and lows, and you don't even realise that that's what's going on. You're kind of so ingrained in the middle of it. Bear with me because I've lost a piece. Yeah, you're so ingrained in the middle of it all that you can't. It takes sometimes somebody else to point out to you what is going on before you actually can take a step back and think, oh, okay, that's making a little bit more sense now. And I think that's what happened to me through counselling and through starting to see that I was in a relationship that was just going round and round in circles with no real way of becoming a healthy relationship. I had to step away and say enough was enough. It's actually exhausting being in the middle of all of that as well. it really takes its toll on you. Makes you feel like in some way you're not enough. And that's a lot to do with, you know, internal and external validation, which I'll talk about again in another video. I feel like I'm missing some of these, but I guess, yeah, probably could do a few more trays there, but yeah, and it is absolutely exhausting, and that's exactly where I was. I felt just done with it all. Oops, wrong place. Constantly getting pulled into dynamics that just really are unhealthy, made you feel unhappy. Trying to fix things all the time, that was just impossible because, you know, you're not responsible for fixing somebody else. You can't take that kind of a role on. It's not a good place to be. People will only change when they choose to change, when they want to change. They're never going to change because you want it for them. You can support, but you can never try and change somebody. You can never try and control somebody else's behaviour. And I think after that last drama-filled relationship that I was in, I just thought, I'm done. That's enough now. I'm not doing this anymore. Not in a loud, dramatic way. It was more in a quiet way. I just knew in myself that that was it. I wasn't letting anybody else into my life. I was going to behave in a way that wasn't healthy. And a healthy relationship, you know, it's not a perfect relationship. Doesn't mean you've got two perfect people living together, never making a mistake, never getting anything wrong. A lot of the time it's just about the fact that you've got two people who are invested, who might make mistakes, who might get it wrong sometimes, but they're prepared to look at that behaviour, they're prepared to work on it, they're prepared to, you know, try, compromise, resolve. Because a lot to do with relationships is all about being able to resolve issues. That's a big thing. I don't know if any of you have watched the programme on Channel 4, I think it was called Handcuffed. It was a social experiment, it's only recently been on, but I watched it at the weekend and that was really interesting because you had 9 different couples, well, not couples, they were just people who'd never met and were just put, you know, handcuffed to each other. And they all had differences, major differences, things that were literally the opposite of each other, that could antagonise and, you know, could be difficult for one or the other to tolerate. And obviously there were couples in there that didn't make it. They unhandcuffed themselves halfway through, said enough is enough, can't put up with this person. But it was the ones that actually saw it through to the end that touched me, because I just think they were the ones that actually, despite their differences, despite the fact that they had different opinions about things and they didn't necessarily agree on quite big issues, they were actually able to look at what was going on for the other person. They were able to actually identify that despite their difference in, you know, beliefs that they had, they were both actually good people who wanted to try and understand each other, and they were actually able to find a resolution enough so they could stay handcuffed to each other. Obviously helped because they wanted to win the money, but you know, I don't know, there was just something nice about the fact that they could actually see the other person's point of view. I think that's what it was. They were able to actually, it took a little while, but they were able to actually just step back and think, right, okay, what's actually going on for the other person here? And that I thought was a really, really great result. But yeah, when I think back to when I thought, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not getting into these kinds of relationships, I'd rather be on my own. I think that was a big thing. I'd rather be on my own. Oh, look at all this little mess that's here. I may have to go and get that swept up. It's a bit more green. Yeah, and I thought no one else is coming into my space unless they bring calm. Calm, peace, quiet. And that became my standard. No more drama. Yeah, so peace. That's what I was looking for. See if we can clear this a little. I mean, the fact of the matter is I do live a very busy life. My working life is a big part of my identity, and it's a big part of who I am. And I just can't cope with having an emotional life that's full of drama. It's too much. I realised that I needed calm. I needed quiet. I do think those, you know, drama-filled, if you like, relationships we have do have some relation to the fact that we're looking for external validation. It's like we need them to change to externally validate who we are, that they were able to change for us, that they were able to see where they were going wrong for us. But they're toxic relationships, and there is never a good ending in those scenarios. Oh, there we go. Nice. You know, in my working life I have a lot of decisions to make. I have a lot of people to deal with, pressures. There's lots going on all the time. And that takes a certain amount of energy. When I finish my working day, I can't be walking into drama. I just need quiet and calm and understanding. That's why I like to come and sit and do my puzzle, because that's a real wind down for me. sitting in a space where you're just focusing on the pieces, putting everything together, building. You don't need to think about anything else. In fact, you can't think about anything else because your mind is fully invested in what's going on in front of you. I love that about puzzling. It's a real good way for me personally to relax. Picture back up there. Yeah, so once I made that decision that was that, I wasn't going to have drama in my life anymore. I actually don't think I've looked back. I think I got to a point where my life became calmer, my space became quieter. I'm not saying it's perfect because obviously there are always little things along the way, but it's more calm 90% of the time. You know, a little bit of upheaval every here and there. Whereas before I think I was living at calm 10% of the time, upheaval 90% of the time. And that is just a really not a great place to be. But I think it is a lot about putting boundaries in for yourself. You know, I remember when I was younger and I read a quote that said, people can only treat you badly if you allow them to do so. And I strongly believe that. Because I was only in those relationships and putting up with that behaviour because I was allowing it. Many people would have gone into those relationships and in the first week said, no, I'm not putting up with that. Don't think you can treat me like that. And they would have just gone. But I stayed. That was my choice. I made that choice. And I kept on staying until the day came when I didn't stay anymore. I do believe it is a lot about having the understanding, I don't know, the confidence to be able to say, or the self-worth, I guess, to be able to say, no, I deserve more than this. That's quite a hard place to get to. Took me a long time to get to that place. But now I'm there, there's no going back. Right. Nobody will ever get to treat me badly again, that's that. That's my decision. Alright, so this and this is coming along here. sometimes it is just that, isn't it? You have to make a choice. A choice about what you will accept. A choice about what you won't accept. A choice about who you will allow in your life and who you won't. A choice between what behaviour you think is okay and what behaviour you don't think is okay. But all of that comes from being able to value yourself. And that in itself takes a while to get to. Just going to go up there. I think we've missed one. How did I manage that? It's all that talking. Okay. So let's bring in the reds. All of these puzzles are specifically created in such a way that it makes it easier for speed puzzling. Where are we at now? Oh, we're at 17 minutes. Right. I think everyone could benefit from having a bit more calm in their life. About making those decisions to keep drama away, not involve yourself. It's actually going together quite well. Get that, that's all gone in. Fantastic. Right, so we've got that green stamp see if we can get some of that together. When you think about calm and how much of your life is calm, I wonder how much you feel right now is calm in your life. Calm is where you actually have the space to hear yourself think. It's where you can feel, really have the time to think about what you're feeling. Oh, I think this is going to come in here. There we go, lovely. So I guess that's for over there. So I think now we will, we'll definitely come to the sky. We've also got the Big Ben today. I'll just do this a little bit here because I feel like this will go together quite quick. There we go, that was quick. And we have got this green here, which is also coming in down here, I believe. I'm fairly sure this puzzle is created in order to make it work for speed puzzling. You can just tell the way it's all these nice little colour sections. Lovely. So pretty much all of those have gone in apart from them two. So we'll just leave those there. Do have a little green bit over here, but okay. Well, we will come back to that. See, we've got a little couple of green bits have gone in here for the stamp. That covers it. But yeah, I'm liking these colours. Oh look, it's a little bit more. It looks like it lives down here. Maybe that. Okay, we'll come back to that. So let's have a little look at the sky. Which has a lot of colours going on in it. I feel like I'm off to a flying start with this one. Thinking maybe I need to bring in the top of Big Ben. To get this one moving. Oh, there's the clock. There's the clock built. Right. So I think what I value now is a life that is calm, steady, space for me. Trying to do things I like doing. I like going swimming on a Saturday, for example. That's something I love doing. Just having that bit of time out, going for a swim. I really value that on a Saturday. I just really appreciate having a steady, grounded life. Actually really means a lot to me that I've got that now. Oh, it's the other way around, look. I was just thinking this might go on there. And it does. There we go. I did not pull out enough pieces for the clock. So I'm going to have to go and investigate and find more. So let's have a quick look in here, see if anything stands out quickly. Well, they are internal bits actually, so maybe they are more. There we go, look. That's it. So it's just these little side bits. That's one of them. There's another. Okay, so I think we're pretty much there with that. So now we've got to try and build the sky in around it. Just think. Have you ever found yourself in any of that kind of a pattern where your life feels like it's just rebounding from one drama-filled scenario to another? You just need to know that it's something you can change. You don't have to stay in that situation. You can make that decision for yourself. You can just choose differently. You can choose to step away. You get to decide what and who is allowed in your space. That is your decision. Stop engaging with the drama. Because the thing is, when we engage with drama, it just creates more drama. You just go round and round in a circle. can build a life that feels peaceful, that feels calm. It can be a quiet decision. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You can just quietly decide that's it. I'm not involving myself in drama. And that one little decision can change everything. Well, I'm just going to finish up there. Made a really good start. And yeah, thank you ever so much for joining me. Oh, look, just in that little bit there. But yeah, thank you for joining me. And join me back here again soon while we complete the rest of this puzzle. Take care.